All right, welcome back to Fourth and Favre. This is episode 20. The first time we're doing something live. We're live from the UFC Apex or the performance. We're at the, what do we call this, Jason?
This is a UFC Performance Institute.
Uh,
Apex is right across.
we have one of the UFC fighters, trainers, Jason Manley. Before we talk Super Bowl talk, I'm gonna have Jason come in and kind of tell us, talk to Brett.
Jason's going to give us his expertise on who's going to win the Super Bowl, and
I'll
you can lay all your money on it.
put all your money. Put all your money on my picks here.
How was it? Well, Brett, first of all, this is your first time to the UFC Performance Institute. I went to uh, what was the side where they fight? This part of it.
The training happens here on the Performance Institute side. Fights happen right across the street there at the Apex.
What did you think about the UFC and our tour?
Great setup. Sort of similar to pro football and the facilities, but I was very impressed. These days, fighters take so much great care of themselves, as they should. The same with football. I mean, you look back the old days, look at some of the clips of the football players. They were not taking good care of themselves. But I think now, having cryos and hot and cold plunge, hyperbaric chambers and red light therapy, the food was outstanding. Pretty much every piece of equipment that you can think of is here. So there's no excuses.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was impressed, first class.
Jason, I know you have to train some guys, but as Brett said, the Denver Broncos, that's right. The Seattle Seahawks, New England Patriots. Who's your pick and why?
Oh, so in my non-expert football opinion, I would say I had a friend that played for the Patriots for a little while, so I'm a bit of a Patriots fan. But I think as the saying goes, defense wins championships. So I'm leaning towards the Seahawks.
Last question, because people don't know this. You came up with Nick and Nate Diaz. You're a Cesar Gracie black belt.
Yep, the 5th black belt.
People always ask me this. There's like, who's better, Nick or Nate? And just me knowing the fight game, not as good as you, is Nick is the general. Like, there's things that even Nate would say that Nick's the better one.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any argument for Nate on that. Nate is Nick's little brother. Literally and actually and theoretically, like he's.
So who do you think's a better fighter?
I mean, you can't compare anyone to Nick. Nick is on another level. So I mean, and Nate wouldn't have any argument with that. Nick is I don't think people have that level of understanding of the gap between people. You can look at the fights, which is great, but it's in the gym, because a lot of people don't understand. Nick and Nate didn't fight to win. Meaning that wasn't their number one objective. When they fought to fight. They really wanted to see like who has better skills, right? So they didn't play a whole lot of strategy of like, oh, I can do this, score some points and win the fight. Like, no, they actually wanted to go out there and challenge everyone, like you do in the gym,
Yeah.
So I think when you look at the actual skill set that they have, when you go in the gym and you train with them, like, yeah, Nick is he's on another level.
And before you get out of here, if Brett was to train full time back and took up MMA instead of football, right? He played 20 years. You didn't miss a game. That record will never be broken. 297 straight games.
Never.
Ever.
They're smart.
They're smart
to save yourself some heartache and trouble.
Do you think Brett could have fought? What weight? He's 230 right now.
I think I'd be in a heavyweight.
Yeah. So
I don't have a good win.
Yeah.
No, if I don't knock him out in 10 seconds, I'm in trouble.
Oh, you'd be amazing. One, consistency, right? In everything. Consistency is applicable to everything, right? Showing up is half the battle.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. But also too is mindset. Fighting is the number one skill set in mindset is the number one skill set in fighting. How you think about the game, how you approach it, is a big thing. And also, he was the gunslinger. So in MMA, that's huge. And forget about even like how far you can go in terms of championships and so forth. But as far as being a fan favorite, That's why fans love the Diaz brothers,
Mhm.
because they're gunslingers. They come out there
Put on a
and
show.
they put on the show
Yeah.
every single time.
And it's very good quality.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you get entertainment and good fighting.
100%. That's what people come to watch. Like, they cheer you on. They want you to win.
Right.
To be honest, they don't want you to win at all costs. They want to
Right.
be entertained.
Right.
Right. There's a lot of guys that come out there
Yeah.
and they win fights,
Yeah.
but they don't have any fans.
Right.
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 Because they put everybody to sleep.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think he might be like the big Diaz brother.
He is.
Diaz brother.
I mean, they're half white,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
they are. Their mom is white,
Yeah.
dad is a Mexican American. So
Yeah.
well, maybe we got their cousin.
That mentality, even just like, having Brett come in and talk to some of the fighters about the mentality, how you approach the game,
Yeah.
be huge for fighters, because
Yeah.
I think the two key things: one, the consistency, the always showing up, no matter how you feel.
That's most important.
It's most important.
If you're not there,
Yep.
no one can count on you.
And one of the things that I think, as you were talking about before, with all of the recovery and all of the stuff that people have implemented now, I think a lot of times you get athletes that go overboard with it.
Yeah.
Right. They want to recover and they want to rest too much all the time before
Yeah.
they've actually earned it, to be honest with you. So I think there's a dark side to that as well, where you get a lot of athletes that are not putting in the work they should be putting in, because they're too focused on overtraining and recovery. And so
Absolutely.
So,
I would agree with you 100%.
Jason,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
thank you guys. Thank you guys. Great having you guys
Yeah,
here.
Jason.
All right. I'll see you guys on the mat.
Okay. Brett, it's Super Bowl week. Today is Tuesday. And one of the questions we got from a fan was, and this is a great question, I never even thought about this. What do you do with your Super Bowl jerseys?
That's a good question. Me and my wife have tried to figure out whatever happened to that.
Oh, you don't? Oh, wow.
I think it got taken in the locker room.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that answers your question.
We didn't take it. I have no idea.
You don't know where it's floating around at all? Let's talk about the game coming up, Seahawks and Patriots. It's a replay of when Tom Brady was there versus Russell Wilson. One of the questions that have come up was, why didn't they not run Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line? And I was just thought about this question was, if you were the quarterback and you're Russell Wilson and it's Brett Favre instead, do you audible to a run or do you go ahead and sling it?
Well, look, in hindsight, it's easy to be the coach or the player in that situation. My good friend and old coach, Daryl Bevel, was offense coordinator at Seattle. They had a really good play call. There's no guarantees. I mean, if we don't know, I mean, we assume if the ball was handed off to Marshawn Lynch, he would score. I assumed he would. And it would be easy for everyone to assume he would in second guess. But they had a good play call. It was what we would call a rub route. But Malcolm Butler, if you remember, was the guy that picked it. Actually played it fantastic.
Mm.
He ducked underneath the rub and ended up being in better position than the receiver. That was more shocking to me than them not running Marshawn Lynch. All you needed was this much room. And Malcolm Butler played it, to perfection. And there was no room. In fact, he was in better position than the receiver. And I didn't see that coming. And I'm sure Seattle didn't see it coming.
So you're just saying it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback, but when you're there in the situation,
When something doesn't work, David, it's easy to say, why didn't I do that? Or why didn't they do that? It's so easy to second guess when something doesn't work.
great questions. Who came up with the question about the jersey? But let's break down first the New England Patriots, Mike Vrabel. There were some gap years where you played against Vrabel. Can you just talk about him as a player?
Played against him several times. very smart player, really in line with Bill Belichick teams. They were high football IQ guys. And no disrespect at all to Vrabel, and I'm not knocking him at all, but he wasn't Reggie White. But he was very instinctive. He was very football savvy, much like Teddy Bruschi and on down the line. They had smart guys that knew how to play. They played in very, how do I put this? Their defensive scheme was not exotic.
Right.
And I don't know, I've never been in a team meeting with Bill Belichick, but I suspect he would be in there saying, look, we're not going to outsmart ourselves. We're not going to beat ourselves. We're going to play our defense, which is very simple. What you see is what you get. So if it looks like cover 3, it's probably cover 3. And they don't really disguise and try to give you all kinds of, because you run the risk of getting out of position. And so Vrabel has taken that and it's implemented it back again. I see the same now. That talent wise, I think they're a little more talented than some of the teams that won the Super Bowl previous. But talent alone doesn't win. You got to be in the right place at the right time. You have to be accountable, and all 11 have to play as one. And that's what I see actually with both teams right now.
Now, with the Patriots, they're the dogs going into the game. People like Drake May, but they just still don't think that he's enough with the Stephon Diggs. But what do the Patriots need to do to win this game?
What they've been doing all year. They've played very sound, opportunistic football. Defensively, they played extremely well. They've gotten turnovers. They've pressured the quarterback. They're bend but don't break defense. Offensively, I can't imagine anyone saying anything negative about Drake May. I don't know him. Don't know a lot about him, but I think he's played exceptionally well over and beyond what I'm sure even the execs at the Patriots would have expected him to play at this point in his career, which is his second year. He can make all the throws. The guys seem to love playing for him and with him. So I think that, this is only speculation, but Vrabel tells the team, guys, do what we've been doing. We're not going to change. It's gotten to this point, and we just got to play smart football and not turn it over. And when we have opportunities to make plays, we got to make them.
And the Seattle Seahawks are, I would say, on the opposite end of the spectrum. No one would have thought we would see the Patriots and the Seahawks, but their defense is so underrated. And we talked about this in the podcast a few weeks back. They quietly crept up and just got in there. And as to your point, this was kind of a wide open NFC. Like it was just a free for all. Seattle was able to get it done. Something that I saw that impressed me with the Seattle's defense was on 4th and 4 when they were playing the Rams. Matthew Stafford read it wrong, and he thought he was going to be rush, but they only rushed 2, and they dropped 9 back into coverage, and then that 4th and 4 went incomplete. But what is it about the Seattle Seahawks defense? And even with Sam Darnold, I mean, I think he's a little underrated going into this as well.
Well, I think his whole career has been underrated. I mean, think about this. He won 14 games last year, or was a quarterback that won 14 games last year at Minnesota, and they let him go. Here we are. He's won 14 plus games and has them in the Super Bowl. At some point, someone's got to say, this kid could play. I don't suspect there's a chance in hell that Seahawks will let him go anytime soon. They found their guy. I'm happy for Sam. I don't know Sam. I've met him before, but I really don't know him. But how can you not pull for him? I'm sure Patriot fans are not pulling for it. But I think people understand he's been shipped off everywhere he's been. But I was happy to see him play well and win the other day, even though I like Stafford and like the way he's played for a long time. But getting back to Seahawks defense, I think first and foremost, what really is really good about them is they're good against the run. Very good against the run. And if you can stop the run, then you got a fighting chance. They get after the quarterback. A lot of guys, and I'm not knocking these guys, but it could be their motto. We're a lot of no-name guys that you haven't heard of.
Right. Exactly.
But they get after you. And what I've always looked at as a player, and then looking back as a former player, effort. If I were coaching or if I were the GM, I would want a guy whose motor never quits. I don't want the guy that can bench press 600 pounds and squat 1,000. I want the guy whose motor never quits, because that is ultimately is what's going to save you, your team, either a game or a season. Running down a guy, tackling him on the 5-yard line, and then, they don't score. And you could easily say, if let the guy score and not running down, well, he was going to score. They wouldn't score any. Effort wins you games. And when I watched Seattle, they play hard and they play to the whistle and then some. The same could be said for New England. You don't get to the Super Bowl by luck. You get there by playing hard, playing with a lot of effort, playing to the end, to the whistle, and even after, and playing. The most talented teams most often are not the teams that win the championships. It's the teams that play the best together, play as one, and that's what both teams are doing.
Brett, I agree with you. There's nothing there I disagree with. I see the score being 34-26, Seattle. They're playing in Northern California. Weather's not going to be affecting. So a little higher scoring game than maybe some are anticipating. How do you see the score playing out?
Well, I haven't really thought about the score, but I do think it's very evenly matched. And I think it'll go down to, it may be who has the ball last. It could even be an overtime game. But this is just my gut. I see Seattle winning by no more than a touchdown.
The halftime show, and there's been a lot of talk about this. There's a new one now, I believe, Jelly Roll, or there's some other performer, Kid Rock. So there's a Bad Bunny Super Bowl endorsed one with put on by Jay-Z, and now there's a new one. Are you going to be watching one of the other halftime shows?
I'm gonna watch Kid Rock.
Kid Rock halftime show.
Lee Bryce. There's a bunch of them. Nothing against Bad Bunny. I really don't know what he sings.
Right.
That doesn't mean I like him or dislike him, but I'm gonna go with what I know.
As we close out, we have some quick questions by fans. One person asked, "What were you thinking when you saw Andre Rison wide open in Super Bowl 31?"
Don't miss. The hardest throw to make, the hardest catch to make is when you're wide open and when you're the quarterback and your guy is wide open. So I was thinking, don't miss.
Who was the funniest player you ever played with?
Me.
You yourself. And
Well,
I've heard
I
that.
think so.
Well, teammates have said you were a prankster. You loved to put on pranks. Actually, I forgot what former teammate. Maybe it was not McMahon. It was Jamie Dukes. He said that you pulled a prank and then they put ice in your helmet and it messed up the walk, and they got in trouble for it because trying to prank you, like, well, we can't prank Brett.
Prank.
Right. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Actually, the funniest guy I ever played with, and I've told people this, was Reggie White. He, most imposing player and guy. You see Reggie and don't know him as a football player. You just see him walk into a room. You're like, oh my gosh, this guy's gigantic. And then he starts imitating Muhammad Ali and Howard Cosell, talking back and forth against each other, or he's telling jokes, or he's laughing like a little kid. And this is arguably one of the greatest defensive players, if not players in general, in the history of the game.
Yeah, and we've told that story, that Popeye story, and Reggie White went viral where they thought that he was Dave Duerson. I
Yeah.
thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Crazy, but true story.
A person that you respect most that you played with, or all time.
The list is endless. I'll start with who I think should have been in the Hall of Fame last year. And for whatever reason didn't get in, is Mike Holmgren, one of the greatest coaches that uh, meant so much to my career. And I was fortunate enough to have some great coaches: Mariucci, Andy Reid,
John Gruden.
John Gruden, uh, Mike McCarthy, who just got the Pittsburgh job. But there's way too many to. I mean, we don't have enough time for me to tell you who I enjoy playing with, who I have a great deal of respect for, who meant so much to my career. So the list is too long.
This is a great question. What went through your mind when you ran for a touchdown in the Super Bowl? Was it different from running a touchdown in a regular season game?
No, there is a different aura when you're playing or preparing for the Super Bowl. You're the only two left. In our case, we played New England the first one. We played the Broncos the second one. You're the only show in town. It's the last game of the year. You're well aware, just by the spectacle that it is, how big it is. But once the game starts, it's right back to square one, football. And you kind of lose, the glitz and the glamour is gone, for at least for the 4 quarters.
This is a different one, a Viking one. What did you think about throwing that block down the field for Adrian Peterson?
I played my whole career with the thought of whatever I have to do to help my team win, I'll do. And so I never, nothing was ever premeditated, whether it be celebrations or a block or an underhand pass or whatever. It was never, it was spontaneous. Whatever I felt like I needed to do to help the team win, I would do.
How fast did you spot they asked Antonio Freeman down the sideline in that Super Bowl?
Well, when I walked to the line, I knew I had an opportunity. I changed actually the protection to get the back out of my way. It was designed to go to the right side of the back. And we were going to slide the line left. I sent the back to the left to give me a little more vision, but I knew I had a chance right when I left the huddle and saw what coverage they were in. I knew I had a chance.
Someone said you gave them a birthday gift by winning the Super Bowl on on their birthday. I'm gonna close with this question. This is my question. We actually talked about this off the record. People always want to know, what do players drive, and usually the quarterbacks that come in the nicer cars that the superstars do. So, can you tell us about your Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Phantoms, Rolls Royces that you go to practice in, or that you had around your house?
I had a Ford F-150.
And you're at the height of your career.
Yeah, and I loved it.
Ford F-150, a truck. That was your go-to truck.
Yeah.
And none of the guys were like, "Hey, Brett, you're at the height."
If I would have pulled up in a Lamborghini, they would have taken me to the hospital and had me checked in. So if you polled all the guys I played with and you posed that question, like, what would you do if Favre pulled up in a Lamborghini? They'd probably go, I'd pass out because that wasn't me.
And you actually had a little upgrade, right? The Ford F-250 for a moment.
Yeah, it was a little too big for Green Bay. You need something you can get in and out of the snow pretty easily. And I live very close to the stadium, and I'm also cheap, so I want to save on gas. And
Were people surprised when they see you at a red light and they look, and Brett Favre is in an F-150 as a three-time NFL MVP?
well, it was a good smokescreen because a lot of people are like, nah, he wouldn't be in a a poultry truck, but yes, I was.
And to this day, are you still in a truck or
I am in a
barn?
truck, and it reminds me of a short but quick story. And what I'm riding down the road. We lived about a half a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile from Lambeau. The airport in Green Bay we lived between Lambeau and the airport. The airport was very close. So we had some friends in town. I dropped them off at the airport. I had my F-250 truck. This was maybe mid-90s. I'm driving back home, and I knew I was getting close on running out of gas. But I said, I think I can make it. I didn't want to stop because the nearest gas station at that time was super busy, and I hadn't passed to go back home. So I said, I'll wait till tomorrow, and I can stop at the gas station right by the Lambeau field because they know me there. And well, I ran out of gas right on the main highway. And I called Deanna, and I said, Deanna, I just sit in the truck. I pull off the side of it. I sat in the truck, and I said, I ran out of gas. Well, she's like, what, well, put some in it. I'm like, you don't understand. I am stuck on the side of the road. Can you get a can? We had a can in our garage. And go get some gas in it. Come meet me. She said, oh, dear God. Yeah, I can do that. So she pulls up. I rolled down the window. And I said, can you pour it in? Because I didn't want to get out. And she's like, oh, hell no. I've done all I can do. If you want to go home, you got to put the gas in. So I had to get out of it. People were honking. I made sure never to run it that low again.
Were they anyone offering to help out, or they just?
Well, when they finally realized it was me, the work was done. But I'm sure they were like, was that Brett Favre putting gas in a truck?
Like, he would be.
What I would have said if someone asked me about, say the media asked me, did you run out of gas? No, someone I know ran out of gas, and I was doing a favor. I just put gas in it.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. It was the first time live. Sorry if we didn't get to all your questions. I see, Brett, you see all those chat questions.
Yeah. Thank you for sending all these questions. I wish we could answer them all, but
they said a lot of them said thank you for the memories. They appreciate you getting on, and there's going to be more episodes to come. I don't know if they're going to be live, but Super Bowl week. Hope you have a good day. And now Brett's going to grapple me in the UFC cage, and you might not see me again. Have a good one.